This is going to be the toughest fight of his career.
Sharp, relax.
The most embarrassing fight of his career.
Chair across your face.
Yeah, I think he's about to cry.
Joe Rogan and Floyd Mayweather have not officially broken down Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, but the entire combat sports world is talking about what they would say if they did. And honestly, you can already imagine the fireworks because this matchup is one of the most shocking, chaotic, unpredictable fights boxing has ever seen. If Joe Rogan was sitting in the studio right now, he would probably say exactly what millions of fans are thinking. He would call
the Terrence Crawford fight his 11th fight. I don't know. Who did Arthur Beterbiev fight? Jake Paul has found a way to make himself the cash cow early in his career to where we shouldn't care.
Jake Paul has become the fighter right now that everybody wants to fight because right now he is the cash cow. He made $40 million just off of Netflix.
He has found a way to do something with his following, get under people's skin to make people care about these fights.
What advice would you give to somebody like AJ?
That he has a lot of talent and not to get discouraged. He only loses when he quits. When you quit, all the doors of opportunities close. You know what I mean? You just got to be, you have to be game. And then don't get discouraged if you lose. Listen, you just lost. You may have got $30 million. You should give Usyk a kiss and say, can we do this again? Don't let this internalize you. Oh, I can't fight now. This white boy kicked my ass. People are laughing at me. No, he kicked my ass for $50 million or $30 million. I hope he kicks my ass again. But this time it might not work out that way. I'm gonna kick his ass. I just think the more time you lay off, the worse you get. You have to fight to be the best. You have to do it more and more and more.
What do you say to the people who say Anthony is ruining his legacy just by taking this fight?
Fans don't respect what he's done in the sport already. He's an Olympic gold medalist, two-time unified heavyweight champion of the world.
I sort of sympathize with him because I feel like if he doesn't beat him quicker than he beat Francis, people are just going to write it off. I'll ask you bluntly, have there been any discussions about there's an agreement, there's a secret contract? Have any of those discussions happened regarding this fight?
It's an 8-round professional fight. AJ wouldn't have taken it if that was the stance it had to be, if it was an exhibition, if it was you've got to hold him up for 8 rounds. It wouldn't suit Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is going in there to knock out Jake Paul.
But if I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. Well, that automatically makes me 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on. Like, you can't be serious. He can't beat me. And I'm not Anthony Joshua, am I? So it's just ludicrous.
He would say Jake Paul is stepping into real heavyweight territory and fighting a man who has knocked out giants. Interview 2. Joe would break down the speed gap, the size gap, the power gap, and he would still say one thing that always fuels these conversations. Anything can happen in a fight. That is what makes this whole thing so wild. And if Floyd Mayweather spoke on this publicly, he would say something even more interesting. Floyd has always said Jake Paul deserves respect because he promotes himself, he takes risks, and he knows how to build a fight. Interview 3. But Floyd may not see Jake Paul as a great boxer, but he sees him as a great student of the game, someone who trains hard, someone who is genuinely trying to learn, someone who is willing to step in with dangers that most fighters would never sign up for. And taking on Anthony Joshua is proof of that. The entire boxing world is split. Half of the community is laughing, saying Jake Paul is walking into a nightmare. The other half is saying Jake Paul has balls of steel for even signing this contract. It is the biggest risk of his career. It is a fight.
In that question, and you know, that seems like a very friendly question to Jake, but you know what? It's a fair question. I'm not mad at the guy for phrasing his question that way. And again, yes, that's because Jake has a massive name and a massive spotlight. Without that, Jake is not fighting Anthony Joshua in his 14th fight. But on the other side of that, the risk involved with fighting Anthony Joshua here, and some of the fights that Jake had in his first 10 or 11 fights, most pros were either having or having worse opponents for. So when people discredit Jake's career by being like, he didn't fight this guy, he didn't fight that guy, he didn't fight a number of this contender, number that, look at your favorite fighter in their first 14 fights and you pick out the opponents that they had and the level of them. Sure, you'll have your outliers, your Vasily Lomachenkos and other guys that fought tough competition right away, but most, and I mean most meaning 95% of the sport of boxing, had tomato cans until he had 15 to 20 wins. Give Jake his credit. He's fought guys that even were better on his resume than some of your favorite fighters, and now he's fighting Joshua this early. That deserves the credit that I know and the acknowledgement that I know Jake is.
Anthony Joshua. However, given all of that, both men are going to make $92 million each. So forget my opinion. Who gives a damn when you can bank $92 million for having a little move around in a boxing ring? Fair play. You can't on that. However, let's talk about it. The reason I say that it's a lose-lose we'll start with Jake Paul first. The reason I say it's a win-win for Jake Paul is because, listen, if he wins, then he's beating a former heavyweight boxing world champion, certainly one of the best heavyweights of his generation, and of course, a man that is way bigger than Jake Paul. Of course, it's a win. And if he loses, it's still a win for Jake Paul because he had the balls. He was man enough. He was willing to test himself. He would prove everyone wrong, all his critics, like me. By the way, I'm not like out there on an island by myself. Everyone says the same.
Forever. Because if Jake Paul even survives more than a few rounds with Anthony Joshua, he earns a level of respect that no social media celebrity has ever earned in combat sports history. Interview 4. Crazy part is the strategy behind this matchup. If Jake Paul somehow drags Joshua into deep waters, the pressure begins to shift. Jake is younger, lighter, faster, and far more unpredictable. He throws weird shots. He uses strange angles. He does not fight like a traditional heavyweight. Joshua is the better boxer in every category. But Jake is beat
Wallin, and he beat him convincingly.
Yes.
And that's all he can do. And I think that he should take the praise from that and build from it, but he shouldn't want the criticism to stop because I think it fuels him.
I'm one with you, and I said that to Joshua in one of the interviews that I'd done with him. I said to him, listen, like I knew he was very angry with TalkSport and the criticism he was getting from TalkSport, etc. And I had that conversation with him and said, listen, Josh, you should be feeding off that. That's what good fighters do. You feed off that. Go and prove them wrong. Like that's where your fuel should be coming from. And I think to a certain extent he's sort of done that. I said, look, you're like, if people are talking about you, it's a good thing because that means that you're doing something right.
He wasn't ready for Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua was a different thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just he's got more one-shot knockout
it was
power.
Bad game
he took
plan
it more
as well,
seriously
though.
too.
I know he likes to switch in, but again, like, this is where the boxing is. If you don't have that kind of intellect in the boxing, that footwork and foot positioning is. Put your foot on one side, you're gonna get killed. You put your foot on the other side, you're safe. You can kind of manage the power and see the punches coming. But he kept switching stances by just leaving himself in just the wrong positions.
Yeah, he wasn't ready.
Wasn't
for a guy like Joshua.
Wasn't ready. There was a lot of hype off the Fury fight.
Also, Joshua got to watch him box in the Fury fight, see some patterns. Fury, I think, probably took him lightly.
Yes, I think so.
He's one of the greatest of all time. This guy's never had a boxing match. At the beginning of the fight, he's like, time to go to school. Like, oh, really?
Thinking on movement, on cardio, on timing, and on that right hand that he believes can dent anyone if it lands clean. Analysts are saying this might be the biggest gamble any modern fighter has taken. Jake Paul went from facing a much smaller opponent to fighting a full-size heavyweight champion. That kind of jump is unheard of, but this is exactly why the world cannot look away. Jake Paul is not playing the game safely. He is swinging for the absolute top because he wants to prove he belongs in the same conversation as real fighters. This fight is one of the rare moments where boxing feels unpredictable again. Maybe Anthony Joshua destroys him. Maybe Jake Paul survives and shocks everyone. Maybe he lands something nobody sees coming. Nobody knows. And that is why people like Joe Rogan, Floyd Mayweather, and every major analyst in the sport are watching this with genuine curiosity. Because no matter how you feel about Jake Paul, this is the biggest, boldest, and most dangerous fight of his life. And whether he wins or loses, the world will be talking about this matchup for years.